Hello, 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 YouTube. Hello, beautiful people. I am back. Sorry about my tardiness, technical difficulties. For some reason, I cannot get um my camera to work. My laptop camera is working, but my other camera is not working. So yeah. But hello, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, good afternoon. Today I am, as you can tell by the title, I have really been doing some research on this situation with, Sweetie Pies and Tim Norman and Andre Montgomery, rest in peace. And if you don't know who I am Ashley Nicole. I am a licensed mental health counselor. And so I'm kind of looking at this case from a mental health perspective and from a therapist perspective, kind of reacting to the whole situation. Um, I did in the beginning, watch Sweetie Pies and, was interested in that show simply because I am from St. Louis, Missouri. I was born and raised there. I kind of know the ins and outs of, where everything is. And I haven't, lived there in a while, but of course I still go back and visit and things like that. And so, a lot of the places that other people who are kind of talking about this case they're talking about, or people who are calling in are talking about, I pretty much know where those places are. I know about the north side of St. Louis and things like that. And so just kind of giving my perspective on the whole situation from, again, a mental health perspective, and just really find it interesting. Not only this case, but a lot of cases that have come up recently. Just find it interesting as far as trying to figure out the thought process of the accused and things like that. And so today, as you can tell by the title, like I said, I've been doing some research and just want to let everybody know everything in this video is, my opinion based on my knowledge, experience, and expertise as a licensed therapist. And I do provide consultations for mental health as well as for career information, job searching, resume writing, resume critiques, anything that has to do with the career, anything that has to do with mental health. I consult on those particular topics. And so this YouTube channel is what that's about, mental health and career. And so again, just kind of looking at this case from that side, I don't really think there's been a deep dive into that part of the case from a therapist or a professional in my field. Um, and so in the beginning, the last couple of videos, and go back and watch those because I did a deep dive into the diagnostic statistical manual for mental disorders, and we kind of looked at some different disorders that could be, related to this case. As far as Tim, kind of talked about, could he meet the criteria for, post-traumatic stress disorder? A lot of people are coming around saying, "Oh, he is narcissistic and things like that." So we took a deep dive into that particular manual, or that area in the DSM, and kind of dissected what that really means. What does it mean to be narcissistic? What criteria do you have to be diagnosed with that particular personality disorder? So it's really interesting. Go back to part two and look at that. I will link it below. But today, I wanted to talk about something a little bit different. And as you can tell by the title, we'll get into the real reason why this case was reopened. And I never knew, particularly why, it was reopened. I thought that, what happened to Andre happened. They really couldn't find out who did it, or didn't have any clues or anything. And some way, allegedly, I heard somewhere that they found like a bystander found a cell phone on the ground, or near the trash or something like that. Don't give me the line because it could be another that, that could be another case. Because I told y'all I watch documentaries, and then documentaries be about this true crime stuff, and I really got the stuff mixed up. But so I don't know if that's what I thought, but in reading a little bit more, I found out some more information. Now, don't come for me in no comments or nothing like that because somebody may have already discovered this, somebody may have already talked about it. That could be the case. I'm just putting my spin on it. This video is for entertainment purposes only. And all of this is my opinion. Any images or information is fair use, and we're just gonna go from there. So why? Okay, so let's go back. On Welcome to Sweetie Pies, I can't remember the season, but I think it was like 2016, right? This is where you see one of the scenes where Tim takes Miss Robbie back to the crime scene, right, on Natural Bridge, and she kind of really didn't want to go, but he was kind of pushing her to go, like, we need to go and see or whatever, and it seems like it was for purposes of the show, and it was for purposes of. I hope it's not giving you guys a glare, probably so. It seemed like it was for purposes of the show to go back to Natural Bridge to see, where everything happened. Why you would want to do that, especially if it was something so fresh, I'm not really sure, but to each his own, right? We talked about in my previous video about post traumatic stress, and so once you go back to that crime scene, you are kind of reliving, um, you know, not particularly what happened because you may not have been there, but you are reliving when someone told you what happened and where it happened. Just like if Miss Robbie was driving down Natural Bridge, right? Um, Naturally, she would get some kind of feeling related to what happened to Andre because she is driving down that street. So, anywho, he takes her back, and he says, he tries to avoid going that way and things like that. So this was in 2016. So I'm assuming that at this point the police maybe allegedly maybe they didn't have any leads or anything like that. They didn't have anything linked to him, or not really sure what happened. But and I don't want this video to, or my channel, for that matter, to focus on like political stuff. People do what they want to do as far as that, you know, to each his own, no, nobody's pushing a certain party or anything like that. Facts are facts. And so what I found out was that in the summer of 2020, now this is what came up when I researched it, right? In the summer of 2020, there was and let me make sure I have the date right because I want to make sure. Yes. So in the summer of 2020, June 29th, 2020. Now, this is the height of the pandemic, right? Right. We pretty much, I feel like we were maybe we were probably on lockdown. No, we were kind of off of lockdown a little bit, I feel like. I can't remember. But on June 29th, 2020, there was this little boy. He was 4 years old and he lived in Kansas City, Missouri. And so at the time, I'm not really sure if his mom and his dad were together, but at the time, it's reported that he was living, or he was staying with his dad for the night, right? Now, The story is kind of shaky a little bit. It's kind of confusing. When I was reading it, it points to what happened previously. Um, in like a week before, a couple weeks before, apparently some family members had gotten into it, arguing or whatever, and went on about their day. But one of the friends or family members remained, felt like they needed to clap back. And so went to this 4-year old dad's house, and I guess confronted him allegedly, and allegedly shot, and the bullet went through, if I remember correctly, went through a gate into the sliding glass door and into this little boy's bed and unalived him, a 4-year old, right? And so in the beginning, the police wasn't sure what happened or who did it, and it sounds like, based on reading it, it was maybe like accidental, that it, like, he wasn't the target. You know what I mean? That's what it seems like, and he was just really at the wrong place at the wrong time, which is so sad. Like, think about that. You laying in your bed, you're sleeping, and a bully comes and you die. Like, that's unimaginable, especially for a 4-year old. So they had no clues or anything like that, wasn't sure what happened. And so the mom and community members rallied together, to the police, saying, "Hey, we need to find out what happened to this little boy. He was only 4 years old. What are you guys doing about this? Who is going to help us? Who can we call? How can we get some help on this case? Is anybody looking into any leads or anything like that? We need to solve this, to find justice for this little boy." And so they pushed so hard, and this is why community is so important, especially Black community, because they pushed so hard and they fought so hard for this little boy. And his little boy, um, his name was Legend. I'm not sure if it's Legend or Legend, um, because it's the G is capitalized, but it's I thought it was Legend Talaferro. Rest in peace to Legend Talaferro. And, pray for his family, because, I can't imagine losing a 4-year old to some senseless violence, or someone allegedly that's still upset about what happened a week or two before, right? But the community rallied so hard around this case and pushed authorities and police to say, y'all need to do something about this. Like, this don't make no sense. And then on top of that, I think at that time, and in general, just like a whole lot of other cities, Kansas City, Missouri, was dealing with a lot of things like that happening. Not to, I don't know if it was just to kids per se, but just in general, a lot of violent crimes, a lot of violence, right? And they fed up, you know, just like any other time, fed up with the violence, fed up with hurting each other for what? For no reason at all, right? So they pushed so hard, and so in July, so that happened June 29th, 2020. In July, on July 8th, now remember, Trump uh, was in the White House. So in July 8th, he initiated a program called Operation Legend. And if you see me looking down, I'm looking at some notes because I wanted to make sure that I'm very particular about what I'm saying here. But he initiated a program called Operation Legend. And what Operation Legend was, it was specifically deploying federal agents to 10 American cities. right, to help local law enforcement combat surges in violent crimes. So essentially, this particular operation put more resources into these cities, sounds like cities that, were having an uptick or statistically probably having an uptick in these violent crimes. So what Trump did was say, okay, and not on his own, right? The community of Legend pushed for the administration to do something. Now they might not have said, "Oh, y'all need to start Operation Legend or whatever," but they said you need to do something. And so this is what the Trump administration came up with. So on July 8th, they deployed all, these federal agents to these 10 cities with a surge in all these violent crimes to help the local law enforcement solve these crimes. Okay. Now, fast forward to Tim, right? Now we in St. Louis, we don't know. We in 2020, we still don't know what had happened to Andre or who was responsible, right? So by that time, in July of 2020, Trump says, okay, we're deploying this or whatever. And so one of the cities that, was able to kind of get this extra help was St. Louis. And that is what kind of opened this case back up because they had extra help, right? So now let's go back to Legend, right? So Legend, he was taken to the hospital. He had to have several open heart surgeries and, didn't make it and things like that. Again, rest in peace to him. Um, and it's so hard to accept this and to say it, but because of what happened to Legend, we are now able to try to get some justice for Andre. And just think about that. Something had to happen to someone else for someone else to get justice, or at least for us to try to get justice for Andre. And this is probably not the first time that this happened. You know what I mean? That we see it all the time, oh, and we think about it. Oh, this is why this happened, for this to happen, right? Sometimes things work in mysterious ways, right? And we don't know why or what's going on, but you start to put the pieces together. And I think this is very interesting. So let's read about a little bit more about Operation Legend. So the first city, of course, that it was launched in was Kansas City, Missouri on July 8th. And then it expanded to Chicago and Albuquerque, New Mexico on July 22nd of 2020. Then it was launched in Cleveland, Ohio, Detroit, Milwaukee on July 29th of 2020. Then St. Louis and Memphis um, received that extra help on August 6th, starting on August 6th of 2020. And then it went to Indianapolis on August 14th of 2020. So August 6th is when St. Louis, the Operation Legend launched in St. Louis. And so, based on that, that's when all this stuff started to unfold. Now, I'm not sure how true that the cell phone situation is, with somebody finding a cell phone. That still, it could be. I'm not sure. I didn't find that, but this is the real reason why we now see saw those arrests of Travell, Terica, Tim. Ultimately, right? We know Travell. He confessed and he implicated the other two and things like that, but ultimately This is the reason why we are seeing, people being, in indictments and things like that. And so I wasn't sure if anyone kind of knew about this, or I'm sure somebody has uncovered this Operation Legend. Now, the person who allegedly, um, made that shot that took, I'm trying to be careful what I say for YouTube, that took Legend's life. He is going to be on trial, and his trial was supposed to start this week. His trial was supposed to start on Monday, but his attorneys asked for it to be delayed, so it starts now in December. So I'm going to be following that case because, you know, I'm interested, because he's the reason, that little boy is the reason why so many cities, that have issues with these violent crimes are able to kind of get help and, able to crack some of these cases, right? And ever since Operation Legend started, y'all, guess how many arrests have been made? I'll wait. Let me get my water. 1,500. 1,500. Now, that might be dropping the bucket for some, but for violent crimes, things that happen to people, like Andre, things that happen to people like Legend, right? Violent crimes, 1,500 arrests. I I mean that's pretty good based on, now we are in what, 2022. This came out in July, and I'm not really sure either why, because I was thinking about it. Why? How is it that, I don't know if it's because the community pushed so hard, and it could be right, but if so, this happened to this little boy June 29th of 2020. Y'all launched Operation Legend July 8th. Didn't I say yeah, July 8th in Kansas City, Missouri? That ain't that like a 2 weeks later to help this community, get justice for these unsolved crimes. Why can't y'all do other stuff that quick? Now, was this for, because it was some people that were against Operation Legend. Now we're not gonna get into that, but I'm gonna do some reading on that too and see why they were against it. Right? I got a good feeling about why. Because of the communities it was serving. Because if you go to the FBI website, when you see Operation Legend, of course there are ongoing cases where it's trying to find tips and get tips about these cases and things like that. And all of them are people of color. So why were people against getting justice for unsolved violent crimes? That don't make no sense, right? So I'm gonna do some research into that too. But there have been 1,500 arrests since Operation Legend was launched. So kudos to Legend's mom, his family, his community. You guys ought to be, his life was lost, and I pray for you all, I pray for your families, and pray for our community and things like that. But this is something that you all did on his, behalf, to try to help other communities to be able to get some type of justice for their family member as well. And so yeah, so 1,500 arrests have been made, right? Now, now, this is the thing right here. So we know Trump, was not reelected or whatever. In January of 2021, right, he left office. Um, Biden administration ended Operation Legend. The Department of Justice reported that the Biden administration ended Operation Legend on the Department of Justice confirmed that his administration ended it on February 1st and that it was going to be canceled. So they made the announcement in February that it was canceled in January. And that's so now we back to, even though 1,500 arrests were made in unsolved violent crimes, right? We back to having violent crimes unsolved, not getting justice for kids, because it's kids on that site that have, that are unalived, and there are no answers. There are no leads. The FBI is looking for tips. So now we back to square one. Talk about things happening at the right time, right? And it's not serving it's not going to get to everybody, right? But I'm a firm believer things do happen for a reason, right? What if Operation Legend hadn't started and St. Louis didn't get that additional assistance to move forward with trying to find out what happened to Andre? Tim still in Sweetie Pies. Tim still opening restaurants. And this is, allegedly, his Tim trial coming. You know what I mean? Based on the information that we have, he's still trying to take advantage. He's still, opening restaurants. He's still, annoyed by others. He still is something not right here, right? Still plotting, scheming, right? Trying to get over. Who knows? It could have been somebody next, right? If we hadn't have got Operation Legend going in St. Louis, what could have happened? So now, ultimately, Operation Legend is canceled, but we back to square one for everybody else. You know, in our communities who have where there's unsolved crimes, where we don't have any leads, we don't know who did what, who hurt our family members, things like that. So I thought this was very interesting. You guys can look it up. Um, if you just type in Operation Legend and do your Googles, you will find it. And like I said, the person who allegedly hurt Legend, his trial starts in December, and we know Tim's trial starts in September. So I'm going to keep an eye on this, but I really thought, I'm like, this is the real reason why we got arrest of Tim, Yagnam, and Ellis, right? Because additional resources were applied to the case, and they applied these additional resources on August 11th of 2020. That that's a quick that is such a quick turnaround. I'm telling you, kudos to Kansas City. Y'all did y'all thing on this, trying to get resources to the community. Like, y'all gonna do something. And that's the same way, that's the same attitude we gotta have about everything else for our community. We gotta speak up. We gotta be loud. We gotta be consistent and persistent with trying to, when we want something and when something is needed for our community, we gotta do it. We gotta be about it, not just talk about it. You gotta have some action behind it, and you gotta continue. Keep putting your foot on it. Keep, saying, what you need. Keep going to different people. If this person say no, go to the next person. Go to the next, office or whatever. And again, this happened to Little Legend, June 29th. Operation Legend was launched July 8th. Got to St. Louis in August 11th. We got arrested. Look how quick that is. That's in a few months' time. That's in a few months' time. But like I said, now we back at square one with families back not knowing or probably will never know what happened. But that's okay because cases can get reopen all the time, right? And if we continue to push for again what's needed, just like the community of Little Legend, then maybe this administration will do something about it. So I just wanted to bring that little tidbit to you all. Um, I'm gonna get out of here. I'll probably be back tonight because we, this is a little bit, I really wanted to kind of talk about this because I had found this, but we're gonna get back on our mental health discussion, and we got to talk about Cardi B. We got to talk about Cardi B in the shade room. I'll get into it. I'll get into it. So I'm gonna try to come back tonight. Um, If not, I will definitely be here tomorrow afternoon. But if you all have any questions or if you all knew about Operation Legend, let me know in the comments. If you didn't know, let me know or what additional information you had, about it. Or, like I said, this probably was already out there, but this is the real reason why we got those arrests in continuing justice for Andre. So, with that, I'm going to let you all go. I hope you have a great rest of your afternoon. Thank you so much for listening. Consider subscribing and hit that like button, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.